Shameless self-promotion.
Not at all.
Well, my grandfather was a sailor. He blew in off the water. My father was a farmer, and I, his only daughter. I took up with a no-good mill-working man from Massachusetts who dies from too much whiskey and leaves me these three faces to feed. Now mill work ain't easy, and mill work ain't hard, and mill work it ain't nothing but an awful boring job. I'm waiting for a daydream to take me through the morning and put me in my coffee break where I can have a sandwich and remember it's me and my machine for the rest of the morning, for the rest of the afternoon, and the rest of my life. Now my mind begins to wander to the days back on the farm. I can see my father smiling at me, swinging on his arm. I can hear my granddad's stories about the storms out on Lake Erie, where vessels and cargo and fortunes and sailors' lives were lost. But it's my life has been wasted, and I've been the fool to let this manufactory use my body for a tool. I can ride home in the evening, staring at my hands, swearing by my sorrow that a young girl ought to stand a better chance. So may I work the mills just as long as I'm able, and never meet the man whose name is on the label. It'd be me and my machine for the rest of the morning, for the rest of the afternoon gone, and the rest of my life.
Good morning, everybody. The only reason I agreed to do this is I thought it was going to be a light service, lightly attended. So I think I'm going to go and let Joe do this. But thank you for joining us on this late summer day. It's a gorgeous day out. What does Labor Day even mean? Of course, it's more than just a day off from work and a day off from school. It's more than the last long weekend of summer. It's more than finding those great holiday sales. Well, today, we're all going to talk. We're all going to talk in conversation with each other more about work. And if you're hoping to see Reverend Ron, he's not here today. Sorry. So just briefly from a recent New York Times article, in the late 1800s, there were many Americans who toiled 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, often in physically demanding, low-paying jobs. Children worked too, on farms, in factories, in mines. The conditions were often harsh and unsafe. On that down note, my name is Justin Lincoln. I want to welcome everybody here, both on Zoom and in person. If this is your first time joining us, please talk to a representative from the welcome team in the small hall or on Zoom. And regardless of who you are, who you love, what you believe, you matter here. You belong here, and you are welcome here. As always, I'd like to share enormous thanks for the AV team, especially Robert Hoovermail, Karen Meadows, Andy Walker, John D'Alessandro, and of course, Rick Schwartz. Without their efforts, we would truly have no service. Now let's take a few moments to greet each other, whether through a wave, a hug, scrolling through the gallery on Zoom, or whatever feels appropriate. Hi, Zoom.
And general mayhem and food.
Which is good.
Yeah.
We gather here each week, not compelled by a common creed, but committed to the shared goals of personal wholeness and global justice. It is our presence here and our willingness to share our time, energy, and resources for the betterment of ourselves and of humankind that make this space sacred. As we settle into this space and time together, please take a few deep and mindful breaths as Skye and Thomas come forward to present the chalice lighting.
In recognition of Labor Day, we light this flame to honor work, including the work of our hands and our backs, in gratitude for all the laborers that support our world and for all those who boldly continue the work of justice, equality, and peace.
Okay. Well, then I'll introduce it. We're doing, instead of hymns today, we're doing a couple of work songs. And this first song we're going to do is something that we all know, and kids included. It's going to be, I've Been Working on the Railroad. You'll find the words on the screen, and just follow Wendy and I. And,
Okay, I'll get it together.
and here she is now.
And let's stand up just a
Oh, yes. Please rise as you are in body, rise in spirit, and let's all sing together. Sorry. I've been working on the railroad. just to pass the time away. Can't you hear the whistle blowing? Rise up so early in the morn. Can't you hear the captain shouting? Dinah, blow your horn. Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah, strumming on the old banjo and singing fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, strumming on the old banjo. Fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, fee-fi, fiddly-I-o, strumming on the old banjo.
You work that you may keep pace with the earth and the soul of the earth. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons, and to step out of life's procession that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite. When you work, you are a flute through whose heart the whispering of the hours turns to music. Which of you would be a reed, dumb and silent, when all else sings together in unison? Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor a misfortune. But I say to you that when you work, you fulfill a part of earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when that dream was born. And in keeping yourself with labor, you are in truth loving life. And to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secret.
It's our tradition to share our joys and sorrows or concerns with this, our church community. So if you have a joy or concern you would like to share, please grab a card. It should be in the pew in front of you or somewhere thereabouts, and you can write, and the ushers will come and collect those. We will not be collecting the offering right now. This is just for joys and concerns. And if you're online and you would have a joy or sorrow you'd like to share, please type it into the chat, and we'll read it here at the building. right, our first concern is anonymous. And they say, my dreams are filled with sea creatures suffering from overheated water. I'm devastated by the extinction of so many species in such a short time. I believe this is Joy and Ron. Share a concern of sadness. We are selling our Earthship in Guffey, living in Colorado Springs full-time. We have too much, so hoping to find home for some of our treasures. I hope there's also joy in Colorado Springs for you. And this one's anonymous. Yesterday was my daughter's 15th birthday. It was very lonely and sad birthday. She needs to know she is not alone and is loved and supported. If we could sing happy birthday to her, maybe she can see she is not alone. Are we up for singing happy birthday? Okay. So I'm not going to sing to lead it, but I'll step back and happy birthday. Happy birthday, we good? I love this church. This probably follows along with the previous one. A lot of the people I know stopped talking to me, and my birthday was yesterday. If those don't go together, that was a remarkable coincidence. And this concern is, I think, an observation or a question. Is love without hate joyless? Okay, and someone writes, rest in peace, Jimmy. Oh, Jimmy Buffett. Okay. Okay. And now, you want to go, Rick? I've got, still the pile of joys, a stack of joys. So. Okay, so, good. An anonymous Joy, I believe, still basking in the honor of welcoming High Plains folks as we remake and reimagine our community and next chapter. Barb Kohlhaas writes, tomorrow is our daughter Karen's 60th birthday. Can't be possible. I got to hang out with my mom, and she's still struggling with me being 50. Another anonymous Joy, I've made several friends recently, some of them old ones. Not sure if this is young handwriting or not, but Gracelyn, I'm not sure I can read your last name. It should be, is it Cimino? Cimino, very close. Okay, thank you. They say, we just moved here from Texas. Along with her dog Kimber and family. Yeah. And another Cimino, Titus has a joy of family. The Reverend Joy Daly writes, my joy is finding a UU church. Most places I stop in my travels Keep me balanced. Anonymous says, I am thrilled to join your congregation. Big loopy exclamation point. Okay, and the last one before I hand off to Rick. Renee Hardison jumps out of a plane for the first time today at 11 a.m. Go Renee. And then this is kind of an announcement. Also, there's a job opening for theater teacher at a great school in Colorado Springs. Whatever deity or energy field steers that job should know everything on my on my resume, and that I would hope a best fit for the community in that position. So hoping for employment as a theater teacher is what I hear. Okay.
All right, we have several. I'm going to include this one as a joy. It's a hi to Richard and Dale, who are tripping across the Midwest this morning. A concern/joy for my sister Laura. She is in a new residential facility in Denver. Hope she settles in with joy and peace daily with new friends and staff. And I'll just say this is from Robert Hoover Mail. Some of you would know this anyway. Joy that my wife, Betsy Faye Saxon, has graduated from her 2-year course from Bennett Hill Monastery and now has a certification in spiritual direction.
Go Betsy.
A candle of thanks for the life of Vivian Littlefield, who died on the 21st. And finally, a member of my extended family suffered a heart attack this week. Wishes for peace at this time of transition would help us all. And that's it.
I don't know how many candles we have left, but physical or metaphorical, we light 2 more candles. One for all the joys that we've kept silent, and one also for all the sorrows and concerns that we've kept close and silent in our hearts. Time for all ages, yeah.
We're kind of short of our usual bunch of children, but if you would like to come down, we will come down, and we're going to name some activities, and you get to tell us heave ho if you think it's work, or let's play if you think it's play. Okay?
Okay, I think a quick practice or two might be in order. So, if we say something and you think it's work, you're going to say? Heave ho. You're going to say heave ho. He got it. Heave ho. Yep. Okay, if it's work, you're going to say? Heave ho. Okay. If we say something and it sounds like fun play, you're going to say? Let's play. Let's play. Right. One more time. If it's fun and it's play, you're going to say? Let's play. Okay.
Arithmetic.
There's always a mathematician.
Riding a bicycle.
Painting a picture.
Let's play.
Delayed. Okay. Reading a book. None of our kids said heave ho. We are your use.
Serving people food in a restaurant.
Cleaning up your room.
I do not like to clean my room. I hate it. I hate cleaning my room.
Good. Me too. I really hate cleaning your room.
Recess.
Let's play. My tissue paper recess.
Oh.
That's so
A ride up to the mountains.
heave ho.
We got one let's play. Two? Two. Okay. How about going fishing?
Let's play.
Oh, walking the dog.
Yes.
All right. I think
Or pilling your cat. Heave-ho.
Taking care of your cat?
Pilling your cat. Have you ever tried to give a pill to a cat?
Well, my Nana has tried to give
I'm going to credit Birgitta for this one.
her, but
Coming to church.
the cat
Jay says heave ho. No, he didn't. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, so our only hope in doing something like this was to illustrate that it just depends on the individual. There's not any one thing, really, except for cleaning your room, that counts as work for everybody or play for everybody. And the same is true for us as adults, I'm thinking.
And along the same lines, you guys get to say for church today. So that might be heave ho, that might be play. We'll find out. Thank you.
So not all work counts as labor as we mean it on Labor Day. Labor is work that we do for money, that the benefit of the work goes to somebody else. And my story about when I was in the labor force comes from the 1980s. I worked at Ampex, which was a large manufacturing plant that built tape recorders that recorded the TV shows, because this was before DVDs came out, and that was the way all of television was recorded and broadcast, was from magnetic tape. I worked at Ampex as an electronics technician, and I was one of two in a section of the factory that had 20 technicians. So I was one of 10 technicians that was a woman. What made that work fulfilling for me? Partly because I was a woman in a job that was traditionally a man's job, and I was opening the market to women. And I took some pride in being part of my country's industry, that, you know, I was helping the economy. And one of the things that I enjoyed about the work, which didn't benefit the company much, was that we had a test procedure that we did. So the same steps, all the techs did the same steps in the same order mostly. And that got to be so repetitious that I could do it in my sleep. I still do it in my sleep sometimes. But, you know, repetition makes it efficient, but it's boring for the person doing the work. So the part I enjoyed that wasn't necessarily good for the factory was that I got to solve what was wrong with whatever didn't work. And I, you know, could do that in whatever way I saw fit. And it was just the results that mattered, and I had the autonomy to do that. So that's what made it fulfilling and something I could take pride in. What would have made it better is if we had better family supports. If we had childcare, maybe childcare on site, if we had universal pre-K, if we had parental leave instead of maternity leave, and it was longer than 6 weeks. I had both my children while I was working at Ampex, and I got 6 weeks. That's my 5 minutes worth.
So, can you hear me? Is this thing on? Okay. I'm a psychologist, and I'm going to stay seated because that's what psychologists do. So I've been working in various mental health settings for the last 30 plus years, and you would think being a mental health industry, places of employment would be kind of savvy to the things that make people happy. That is not the case at all. Mental health settings are some of the worst, actually. And I'm painfully aware of the privilege that comes along with doing this kind of work. In fact, for a while, had to do a lot of searching about whether I wanted to stay in the field or not after learning or realizing that psychology as a field was responsible for lots of oppression and lots of systemic injustices that are still going on today. But one place that I recently worked at, I got tagged as a rabble-rouser early on for wanting to do something radical, like starting a recycling program. And from there, all of the suggestions and concerns and alternatives that I ever proposed, which I did very kindly, were funneled into this picture of me being like a curmudgeon, which was strange. And over time, I learned to simply keep my head down, keep to myself, and just see clients, which was rewarding in itself, but I wasn't really part of the team. Oh, and of course, to take long walks through Palmer Park whenever I could, which was wonderful. On a more nuts and bolts level, at that same facility, there was this kind of arcane calculus for arriving at how much time you could take off, which wasn't very generous at all. It was pretty stingy, and insurance coverage was incredibly expensive. Contrast that with my current job, where there's already a robust recycling program. Innovation is encouraged, creativity allowed to flourish, and autonomy the expectation. Now, of course, there are problems, but there are problems everywhere. But there I feel valued for my clinical experience and perspective. Yeah, I'm kind of odd, but they're okay with that. They accept that. I still take long walks when possible, though often those are with coworkers instead of on my own. Such activities are part of the process, since health and well-being are priorities for everyone there. I accrue generous time off, and health insurance is relatively affordable. So when we were first talking about this, we were kind of thinking about how we would want things to be regulated more, given our experiences. And of course, there was no such thing as therapy in 1894 when Labor Day came on the books, but some more widespread recognition of the importance of autonomy and all those other things that have made my current job rewarding and fulfilling. So more like an employee manifesto of sorts. Arran, what do you think?
Not a psychologist. But interestingly enough, my first paragraph or so does talk about Freud. So yeah, my first experience with a UU church was in 1998, and I went to this tiny little church called High Plains with a brand new, newly ordained minister named Mike Moran. Woohoo! And I remember in the first month or two, Reverend Mike did a series of sermons on the topic, and the topic was to love, and to work. And he had pulled this theme from Sigmund Freud. Apparently, someone had once asked Freud, okay, you've done all this work about mental health and the dysfunction that happens with minds and brought up this idea of subconscious and stuff. How would you recognize someone who's actually sane? And he replied, and we have a punchline, I don't even know. He replied, and in my head he speaks English with a really bad German accent. They would be able to work and they would be able to love. I remember Reverend Mike seemed really struck by how succinct that was. And the link between the two was apparently really, honestly, it's been some years. I don't remember the series of sermons incredibly well, but I remember the idea of being able to connect to another human and love them, and then also having work, for some reason this is work, work that we connect to. And the similarities and just having those two ideas linked, has stayed with me. And a lot of what Freud said, he didn't do much empirical research, so I'm pretty sure in Justin's field, a lot of it's kind of been set aside. But the idea, able to work, able to love, I really like that. Later on, I did get exposed to some ideas that were based on research about work. I don't remember the source, but what I do remember is they found that most of us humans fit into two big general categories. The first, they came up with a style that they called steadfast tenacity, and then they lumped those two words together and it became stenacity, which I actually kind of like that word. But the folks that exhibit a stenacity style of work are people that I personally admire and go, wow, you're really cool. I've seen their power, and when I was in the Air Force especially, and in civilian business, these are the people that see the work that's to be done, they hear the call of the work, and they do it with steadfast tenacity. The work gets done. It gets done well, gets done surprisingly quickly, and reliably high quality work is produced with steadfast tenacity. And then there's another category. People who are more prone to largely relying on inspiration, and while waiting for inspiration tend to find procrastination. People that might be so staggered by the size of the whole elephant that sometimes we forget to take the first bite. But when inspiration is found, and for as long as it lasts, work can be a blazing, beautiful thing. And I'm sure there's other styles and approaches. This was, a big general categories. I'm sure in this building, I'm sure online, we all relate to one or both of those categories, and maybe we're feeling some disagreement. We are UUs, so it's entirely possible everybody sitting here is going, no. I'm my own unique niche. You don't know me. But a few weeks ago, when Reverend Ron was getting to know us, he asked, what are we seeking here at All Souls UU Church? And there were a few recurring themes, but the ones that seemed biggest in my recollection was community and connection. And when it comes back to me, this is my personal subjective experience of myself and of work, and I hope maybe you hear an echo of this in yourself. I crave connection. I want to connect to myself, I want to connect to others, and I want work that I connect to. If I can connect to the work, drudgery isn't there. I'm also aware that this is kind of a privileged position to be able to be in and kind of have this armchair philosophical discussion of work. And so, with that knowledge, when it comes to drudgery and work and regulation, maybe I need to listen more and focus on my own thoughts less. I guess to close, I hope that we do all find more connection to ourselves, blessed others, and more connection to our work on this Labor Day.
And now we're going to let you share some of your wisdom from your work experience. If you would like, name one thing that made your work fun, something you could take pride in, and one thing that would have made your work better. We will bring you a microphone. Please stand where people on Zoom can see you, so you need to be able to see the camera, and speak in the microphone.
And yeah, so Justin will bring out microphones, and if you can't quite get to Justin or Justin can't quite get to you, you can come up and use this microphone as well.
I was working as a young architect in Tokyo at one of the premier architectural studios of the globe. It was lunchtime, and I primed my people that we were going to spend lunchtime at the Workers' Plaza, where we could go into a swimming pool. Now, these were a bunch of very elitist young architects from Tokyo University, and we marched down the street and we joined the workers because we were workers too. You don't have to only be lifting rocks with your hands.
So this isn't technically work, but for as long as I possibly could remember, I've been working on my mental health. And the more I get better with it, the more I see how everything will be okay. And moments where I don't feel like it, I always rise up. And I believe if you guys are struggling with mental health, you can get out of it. Not everything is forever. Not everything is permanent. Thank you.
Thank you for your courage to be working.
With my school, I'm thankful for my teacher because she helped me with writing and reading.
I forgot to mention that children can also talk about what they like about school, what makes it fun, and what they don't like about school.
Well, I'm extremely fortunate in my life. In the late 60s, I was going to college in Sioux City at a small college. Can you hear me now? Sorry. And while I was a student there, one of the faculty members came to talk to me one day and said, "Hey, we're getting a computer." And this was the second generation of computers. They were called mini computers at the time. And he wanted me to be a student programmer there, which I did. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And subsequently, I went to graduate school at KU in Lawrence, Kansas, and got a master's degree in computer science, which was there were only 7 schools in the whole country that offered a degree in computer science at that time. And subsequently, I just, for 30 years, every time I wanted a new job, there were 3 or 4 available. And so I was very fortunate. I moved all over the country, and the only times I didn't enjoy my work were times like when I was being called in because somebody had threatened to damage the computer. you may not know that, but in those days, there were a lot of people who were just anti-computer, and they were going to keep people from wasting their money and time on them. But it all ended well.
Hi there, I'm Kate. I like to refer to me and my husband, who's out with the baby, as gypsy educators. We've kind of lived everywhere, and we're both teachers. We lived in Utah, Nevada, and Texas, and now recently here. And our contracts ended in June, and we said, okay, well, I guess we'll apply and we'll do something different. Let's just apply. And his mom lives in Utah, so we took a road trip for the summer with the kids, and we made a stop here in Colorado Springs for gas. And my husband got out of the car, and he took a big old breath and said, yep, I could do this. We can live here. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, I think we can live here. And I said, okay, let's do it. So we started applying for jobs before we even left his mom's house on our vacation. We were interviewing on the drive back. We both took positions. He teaches science and I teach special ed. And it was just so crazy how it all happened when you finally put trust in the universe that things are going to work out and you fully trust it. It happens very quickly. So.
So before you start, I just want to apologize. We didn't plan the time very well. I think we have time for maybe 2 more people to speak. Oh, okay.
All I have to say is that it's not about what you hate.
I work when I'm in rehearsal with Jay. I work when I'm in rehearsal with any conductor. But the end product is worth the work. And it does take work. And many of us study at home and try to figure out where the words fit with our notes, as I did last night. But the result of that hard work is absolutely glorious, and it fills my heart.
I'm an early childhood special educator, so I'm teaching in a preschool right now, and I'm just very blessed and honored to shape young people's minds and have fun with them, because it's not so much work because it's preschool. So.
I taught French for 37 years and a little bit of Spanish, and I think one of the big joys was the ability to be creative in finding ways to reach and teach kids. And the biggest sorrow is the lack of community support, not necessarily parents and students, but the broader community and supporting us both financially and reputationally.
Paying teachers.
And Rick has some comments from Zoom.
There are 3. One person just quoted Mae West. I've been things and seen places. Another one said, consistently the best part of my work experiences has always been the times when I connect to other people, whether it be in a brief moment in food service or on a deeper level with people I see regularly. What would make my work experiences better is if people were consistently and meaningfully prioritized over profit. And the last comment is, the best part of my work is how passionate my coworkers are to our shared mission for public land management, current and future generations.
Again, I apologize that we didn't plan the time very well. I'm guessing everyone in here has a really good story about their work experiences, something that's inspirational. Feels like this thing keeps cutting out. Okay. So the offering words today come from a poem written by none other than Roald Dahl, who writes, "Hey diddle diddle, we're all on the fiddle and never get up until noon. We only take cash, which we carefully stash, and we work by the light of the moon. We now humbly request your contributions to our efforts. Cash is certainly an option, but we're not a cash-only operation by any means. Options for giving are on the slides behind me, and they will remain there during the song we're going to sing next. They're also being posted in the chat.
And we'd like to say to please join us on the chorus as we sing People in Your Neighborhood. Oh, who are the people in your neighborhood? In your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. Say, who are the people in your neighborhood? The people that you meet each day.
Oh, the grocer sells the things you eat, like cereal and cheese and meat. Whatever food you're looking for, you're sure to find it in his store.
A grocer is a person in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. Oh, a grocer is a person in your neighborhood, a person that you meet each day. Oh, sorry.
Oh, a doctor works the whole day long to keep you feeling well and strong. But if by chance you're feeling sick, I'll try to make you well right quick. Oh, the doctor is a person in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. Oh, the doctor is a person in your neighborhood, a person that you meet each day. Oh, the postal worker brings the mail, the rain and snow and sleet and hail. I'll work and work the whole day through to get your letter safe to you. Oh, the postman is a person in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. Oh, the grocer is a person in your neighborhood. They're the people that you meet when you're walking down the street. They're the people that you meet each day.
Thank you for your contributions to our efforts to continue pushing for workers' rights in all kinds of ways. Thank you.
We're going to figure this out.
Let's see. Do you want to trade like you did it yesterday?
Sure. Sure.
Okay, well, you all know this song, and it's really fun, and everyone was learning sea shanties over COVID, right? Okay, so I think you'll be able to sing along with this one.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? What shall we do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning, shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Early in the morning, way up she rises.
this up for live.
Only where love and need are one, and the work is play for mortal stakes, is the deed ever done for heaven and the future's sakes. You didn't think you were going to get out of here with announcements, did you? Without announcements? David Lugg will present his monthly treasurer's report at noon today in the Great Hall and on this same Zoom channel. Join us on Saturday, September 9th from 9 a.m. until noon to hear Reverend Ron talk about his social justice plans and to share your top 3 social justice concerns. At 11, we'll have a no-waste potluck lunch. Next Sunday, we'll celebrate the start of our liturgical year with the traditional UU ingathering ceremony of water communion. You're invited to bring water, about a half a cup or less, from some place you've been this year. It could be far-flung, from your tap, or somewhere in between. Check this week's community newsletter for details. Also next Sunday, immediately after the service, there will be a welcome celebration for the High Plains folks in the small hall. Refreshments will be served. Ari will have a kickoff party with pizza and games on Saturday, September 16th from 1 to 3 p.m. here at the church. If you haven't done so yet, please register your child or youth at the RE table or online. Our new RE classes will start on September 17th. For the latest auction news, check the back of today's printed program or visit the auction table in the small hall after the service. For more news, check the TV in the small hall today or read our free weekly e-letter. If you'd like to subscribe to the e-letter or update the email address of your subscription, please check with the welcome table in the small hall or with our welcome rep on Zoom.
Thank you.